hold on. We're just going live because I can't get this thing to. Hold on. All right. Hold on. Where's this stuff? All right, hold on. I can't get back into Zoom. That's why. Hold on, man. All right, I think we're live, man. Sorry, I'm technical difficulties today. Yeah, I don't know where Sierra and Jeremy are. They should be popping in. But how you been, man?
I've been good. I've been good. Been busy. Um, Busy with kids. My son's fourth birthday this last week, so that was cool. Um, and then we're closing on a couple storage facilities end of month and next month. So busy. Plus being a fireman.
Yeah, well, while we're here, just while we're waiting, why don't you just fill my audience in, kind of if they haven't seen you on my channel, kind of your story, what you're doing, what you're working on, what your focus is.
Yeah. Yeah, been a fireman for 7 years. Worked on the ambulance a little bit before that. But prior to that, I actually got started in real estate. So I got started in real estate in 2009, 2010. Actually, when I was in college in Tucson, Arizona. So started flipping houses, buying houses, renting them out to college students, things like that. And then just kept going with it and eventually switched over to self-storage, which is what I do now. So I primarily buy self-storage facilities.
Cool. Oh, so Jeremy, have you met Jeremy before, Kevin?
I don't know. What's up, Jeremy?
Hey, how's it going? We were
Yes,
in the fantasy league together, I
we
think,
were in
right?
the fantasy league. That's right.
But we
Yes.
never have met before. No.
Yeah, who I knocked Jeremy out of the playoffs just to remind everyone. But yeah,
My
so
whole team
Jeremy,
got hurt.
so Jeremy's in Pittsburgh, and he is who he thought was the house hacking champ for a while, but we
You're not
found
gonna let me
someone.
live that down, are
I
you?
will not. No. And then yeah, Kevin's is a fireman also, but he's into self storage. And oh, hold on, Sierra's coming in. Hold on, sorry, my mouse is not working. Hold on.
You grew up in Pittsburgh, Jeremy?
Yep. Yeah, I've
Nice.
been here my whole life.
So let's see. So yeah, there is Sierra. Hold on, I'm having technical difficulties here. My mouse isn't working. But Sierra, you met Kevin before. I'm not sure if you met Jeremy. I can't remember.
No, I
No, we
haven't met him
haven't.
yet.
Okay. So Sierra's the star of the show. So anything has to go through her. But
Got it.
yeah. So Jeremy's in Pittsburgh. Sierra, I won't bring it up anymore, but he's a house hacker. He's a realtor, broker. He's an investor. But yeah, and Sierra's jack of all trades.
What's up, Sierra? How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
Hold on.
Good.
I gotta get my
Good.
car. So we're gonna start. First topic was we were gonna talk about, and it's kind of unfair because I think I'm the only Gen Gen X up here. The rest of you are all millennials, and we're gonna kind of go over like the advantages and disadvantages of being a Gen X or millennial. Who has it better or worse, I guess. So maybe one of you can start real quick. I'm gonna turn my camera off real fast.
Yeah, I was
Well, I
kind of
guess we
looking
got to
around.
define what are the ages? What are the birth years? Do we know that?
Yeah, what are we using
Um,
as the cutoffs? Because I think everybody disagrees on that, it seems, as far as what the exact ages are where it changes.
I just did a
yeah.
quick search. It looks like between 1981 and 96 would be millennials, and then 1965 to 1980, all those old people like Mark would be Gen X. He can't hear me, so we can say whatever we want. He can't say anything back.
I'm back. I'm back.
Oh,
All right, I have to get my coffee. Sorry. All right. So where are we at right now?
so 1981 to 1996 is going to be millennials.
Oh yeah, I'm not close to that.
And then we got 1965 to 1980 Gen X.
All right. Well, so you guys are all millennials then, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
So What do you guys think? What do you guys see, I guess, for yourselves?
I think for me, 2008 is a big thing because like I know I was kind of still young at that point, and then once I got into like college, adulthood, etc., I think it was still the affordability thing was big. So it's a lot harder, I think, for like younger people to get ahead, I guess, because like once they're getting into the workforce and everything's so expensive, whether it be housing, student loan debts through the roof, starting salaries haven't really went up that much. So I think it's harder for them to quote unquote get ahead, at least in my opinion, like the general population, just because of when they grew up. It's really just a timing thing. Whereas like if you're older, it wasn't affordability wasn't really an issue as much, or the student loan debt crisis, as some people would like to refer to it as. So I think I would give the one up to Gen X in terms of like getting ahead, just all those factors kind of put together. Now it's a little tougher in my opinion, just because starting salaries aren't really going up as much as cost of living, housing, cars, goods, etc.
Yeah, I hate to agree with you on that, but I think I do lean that honestly, the Gen X, we've had a pretty good road. I mean, it's been pretty smooth and we had a lot of opportunities. And I think, but part of it is also, we don't have as much opportunities though as the millennials, I think. The millennials have way more ways that they can make income though. So for the Gen X, for myself, I think there was a lot of paths already laid out for us. And a lot of us went down, like, for the pension and working for things like that, whatnot. But millennials just have way more opportunities. But if you take advantage of it, like the three of you are all taking advantage of all those opportunities out there. So that's kind of where I stand on that.
Yeah, I think 2008 was a big factor as well, because Gen X, at least initially, had a pretty stable job market. So they were able to come into the job market and get a decent job. Now, a lot of these jobs, like you were saying, that was kind of when jobs were switching from pension to more of a contribution retirement plan, 401ks, things like that. Um, so there's a little bit of an issue there where a lot of times they saw their parents receive these pensions, and then it was all kind of being switched as they were coming into the job market, not necessarily getting pensions anymore. But they had the stable market. I look at myself coming out of college just off the heels of 2008. Nobody was hiring. It was not an ideal time to come into the job market. So I think there was an advantage there. Um, but then you look at student loan debt, and I think like the average Gen X student loan debt, I mean, it's like 90 or 80 to 90% less of what a millennial student loan debt is. And so that's a huge factor, right? Because now you have all these millennials who went to college, they're coming out in a bad job market, trouble getting a job, they do get a job, trouble getting a wage that is able to help them move forward in life while paying off massive debt. So I think there's a disadvantage there for millennials. The advantage I see, though, is that, like you're saying, we have so many opportunities. Um, we're tech savvy. We can connect with anybody almost instantaneously. I mean, we can be talking to a CEO of one company just with a couple clicks of a mouse and strokes on our keyboard. I mean, the resources we have are unlimited. So there is a lot of advantage, I think, there.
Yeah, one other advantage I was going to say is that for millennials, as far as the 2008 thing goes, it's not like we were positioned to be holding anything in 2008, like whenever all of that was happening, like that was affecting our families, of course, or our parents, some of us, but we didn't have to like suffer any of the consequences of that. It just made for a really bad economy to be having earned a degree and needing a high paying entry level position when we came out into it. But then it also positioned us to, if we did get into like real estate as we were exiting college, like for one of the best times to enter real estate. So, like, as far as the age goes, being kind of like entry level at that point I think helped out affordability because that's like the best time to have, purchased. It would have been in those years when, mid 20s, when if you took advantage of it, right? Like a lot of people didn't, but if you did, like that was a great time to even if even if you didn't have a great paying job, like you could still kind of get a handle on property at that point.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I
Jeremy,
know.
oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I started in 2016 investing. If I would have started like 3 or 4 years earlier, like I know a few people that did, and like that's exactly it. It's like they were able to take advantage of that, but it's the people that were taking advantage of the non-typical 9 to 5 corporate job right out of school. It was the people that were doing more entrepreneurial investing, buying assets. Those are the millennials that I think were able to get ahead rather than the conventional path. Whereas I think that was more at a disadvantage, obviously depending on your age as well. But that's the differentiators, people that were able to take advantage of the entrepreneurial side.
So Jeremy, for you, since you're like or you're a broker, you're an agent in Pittsburgh, and I always see everywhere Pittsburgh is like a very affordable market. So for yourself, like what do you see for like millennials or younger generations as far as buying homes in your market?
Yeah, I think it's kind of different here because this Pittsburgh being one of the few markets I think still makes sense to buy over rent. There's not very many left, but it isn't as big of a deal here. But I think maybe a disadvantage in Pittsburgh is um they don't pay as much salary wise, so it's kind of proportional, I guess. Like cost of living's less, but average salaries are also less as well. So, but still, regardless, like I think that the affordability thing hasn't really been a huge issue here, being affordable market until just recently. Like I know people similar to my age, like just starting families and stuff, they're kind of having a tough time buying their, I guess, starter home to start their family in. So it just really started, I think, within post COVID to become an issue here, whereas before it wasn't really a huge issue.
I think that's a good point. I think you take millennials and there's two different buckets of millennials. You have people that purchased homes and started investing pre-COVID, and then you have those that are trying to do it after COVID. And it's
Yeah,
the
COVID's
gap is
another
the
time
gap is just
point.
widening. Yeah, exactly. So I think that the millennials that, maybe formed families a little earlier or at least had an investing mindset earlier, um, are coming out ahead. Whereas if you're now forming your family and trying to buy a house for the first time, it's pretty difficult, especially when you couple on all the debt that a lot of these millennials have. So, um, just that gap, unfortunately, is widening of those that have assets and those that don't.
So Kevin, for you, since you're in the fire department also, do you have a pension?
We do.
And so how does that affect your kind of maybe retirement plan or strategy since you're like you saying you're a millennial, so you have all these other opportunities out there, but you also kind of have that boomer Gen X kind of pension program set up for yourself.
Yeah. The way I look at it is hopefully it's there when I retire. But I'm not banking on it. Especially the way California runs their programs. So yeah, it would be great if it was there, and I could take advantage of it. But my goal is to at least supplement that, hopefully replace it with something else. And then, hey, if that pension comes through at the end, that's awesome. But they've already reduced the pension amount and how long you have to work and all these different things to make it not nearly as attractive as it used to be. It used to be, you worked 50 years or 30 years and you got 90% of your highest paid year every year for the rest of your life. Now you have to work 37 years, and instead of 90%, it's like 78% of your current salary. So they keep moving the goalpost back, and eventually my thought is it's gonna turn into more of a contribution plan at some point. Some departments are already doing that.
What do you see as far as like for our department in Honolulu, we see that it's harder and harder to get guys or people, hired, like recruited. Like back when I got in, there was thousands and thousands that would apply and take the exam. Now it's dwindling, and even guys don't even show up for the interviews anymore. It's so weird. Like they get offered these positions and they don't even show up anymore. So I've never, yes, I don't know how it is for you folks at your department.
We're similar. It's definitely same thing for me. When I was trying to get hired, I was like standing in a line of, 1,000 people outside the department for like 30 spots, maybe. Um, and so, yeah, right now, like we're like really ramping up recruiting efforts. Like we're trying to go and like entice people to want to come to the department. Um, and I think it's just a generational shift as well. Like most people don't, they want to, have some startup or they want to be in whatever this or that. Like the fire service or more of these just trades in general. There's a decline there, which to me it seems like, especially in the trades, like that's more of an opportunity for maybe our children because of the decline of professional tradesmen. Um, so yeah, we'll see. It's an interesting time for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Sierra? Is all your student debt paid off?
It is not. You know, I don't have very much left. Honestly, I have $3,500 if anyone wants to know. So I don't have much. And I made the choice, not to pay it off because it is just one loan at this point with a fairly low interest rate. And, when they paused repayment, we opted instead of paying off the debt that we have. My spouse has a larger chunk of student loans, but that's from one semester at a private school, and that's from getting multiple degrees. So it's a larger amount, but still manageable and still way less than the average. So we opted not to pay all that off and buy an investment property because we thought, well, if they do forgive, a chunk, we'd like to take advantage of that. If they don't, we'd rather have an investment that's going to make the payment for us. And so we restructured to do it that way. And, our rental property cash flows more than what our repayment is. And so that's kind of how we have it set up at this point. Um, and I don't know that the student loans have ever really held us back, but we did buy a house when we were in college. And so that was part of it, was that we bought a house in 2012. And so all of that struggle that we faced coming out of school and trying to find jobs ended up kind of being a wash because we had this property that appreciated enough that we could kind of tackle the chunk of student loans that was really keeping us from even breaking even every month with our positions. And so that's kind of how we didn't come out on top, but we didn't come out like super behind either. So we have something that's manageable.
Any of you have student debt also?
I don't. I got super lucky. I got a pretty substantial scholarship, and then my grandfather actually paid the difference between the tuition and the scholarship. So I was very fortunate to come out debt free.
I still got like 15 grand, I think, but I'm just letting them ride because they're like 3.5, 4.5% interest. So I figured why pay them off whenever I can earn way higher than that with investing. So that's why I've just been paying the minimum and they'll get paid off when they get paid off, I guess.
Kevin, we're being attacked in the comments.
Uh,
Jason said we're surrounded by part timers. He means firemen. So that's that's Baby Dion. By if you, I'll introduce you one day. But he invests in he's investing in Gary, Indiana, and then
okay.
yeah, and then Mikey said, "What's up?" He said, "Thanks for introducing him to Mike, and he's had a great time working with your team."
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So I think you know plus and minuses for both generations. I think honestly, I've had it pretty well. I didn't get into student debt. I mean, I didn't realize how much, like even like University of Hawaii, what the tuition is now. I mean, I can't. When I look, I've been out for almost 30 years now from college. Well, yeah. So it was like I want to say it's like $1,000 at the time when I was there per semester. So I didn't realize how much inflation and cost of everything went up for school, but But yeah, I definitely think I had it pretty good. I think it was more a mindset thing for myself when I look back on it, where like Kevin was talking about, my parents had the pensions for their generation. I still have it for my career, but it was just kind of that transition, like going to more traditional retirement plans, leaving the pension system, and just like you talked about too, even the trades, right? That whole generation is kind of gone. We don't have that anymore, and but at the same time, my generation was where the tech kind of started. So I'm still probably lagging from a tech knowledge standpoint where you folks you grew up in it, and you have more opportunities out there to build income. But at the same time, I see that as a struggle where there's so many directions to go in.
Shiny object syndrome.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of people struggle with that. It's hard for them to focus on one thing for sure. I've seen that with younger people.
What do you think about the future of traditional college? Like bringing up just how expensive it is, and like just is there still value in taking on debt and going to college? I mean, my nieces and nephews are all college age, right? They're all going to college. But then I look at like my son, he's 4, and I'm like, in 14 years, is it still going to make sense to go to a traditional college?
I remember before having my son that I'd like telling some of our friends that I really didn't think the relevance was going to be there. Obviously, for very, technical professions, there is a need for, university and specialized training. But even still, I think the way that it is set up is so wasteful for the first 2 years. The whole gen ed idea of needing to like establish again what you've already learned kind of in high school for the first 2 years of college is, I think, the biggest part of the scam of university. And I think that it either needs to shift to being, 2 year degrees where you are just in your specialized field, or trade school style where you're going into learning a trade. And I think that is the what at least what employers are looking at. Like they're not looking at like, okay, can this person stick it out for 4 years? Like I'm not really sure that that's still relevant to people on the employer side. And there's so much saturation of people who have degrees that I don't know that it's even appealing. Like they're really looking for that experience of proving yourself in a certain way. So for my son, that's why we decided to go the asset route instead of like a college savings fund. Like I'd rather him have a lower barrier to entry to home ownership than I would um some sort of like safety net for college education.
Makes sense.
I think it depends on the kid too. Like whenever I was growing up, it really didn't matter what type of personality you were. It was just college was what you did. Like there wasn't another option. And I didn't know there was another option. Like looking back, I don't know how anybody knew that like just me being more entrepreneurial, like you would think somebody at that point would be like, he isn't meant for like a corporate job. But like that wasn't a thing back then. So it was just like there wasn't an option. Whereas now I think it's more flexible. Like people are realizing that college isn't necessarily the only thing, whereas you can kind of adapt it to your personality and what you're into, what might make more sense with going into the trades, which actually might make more sense than college for a lot of the majors, or doing something entrepreneurial. And it's not just a one size fits all anymore, is what I think we're kind of trending towards as time goes on.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally agree. So Kevin, you invest in self-storage. I mean, how do you see maybe like your clientele? Do you see more like maybe a certain generations that are leaving their stuff in self-storage because maybe they're buying smaller places to live and they don't have the space, or what do you see for your clientele?
Yeah, I mean, I think the fear initially with self-storage was like, hey, it's only Gen X and baby boomers that use it. Millennials aren't going to use self-storage. Um, and that's proven to be the exact opposite of what's happening. The bulk of our customers are millennials. Um, self-storage is unique because there's so many different reasons to use it, whether it's a death in the family, divorce, moving, downsizing, you know, too many items in this consumer culture that we have. Like people have, the list is kind of just goes on of for why people use self-storage. But it is nice to see as someone who owns self-storage facilities that millennials are using self-storage more than anyone ever thought they would.
Does that mean they have more crap though?
I think it also means that they maybe have the same amount of crap, but they're not able to afford the big house to live
Ah,
in. Uh,
okay.
so I think that's where we have a lot of customers. They're not willing to get rid of, little Johnny's trophy, but they don't have the extra room to put it in. So they got to get a self-storage facility or a self-storage unit.
And you, Jeremy, you've done 7 house hacks. I think you're still house hacking, right? In Pittsburgh, or have you? So what do you see for like your area, like people that come to you to either buy a home or invest through you? Do you see more? You work with more millennials, you'd say, or like Gen X?
Um, Kind of a mixture of both. I would say maybe slightly skews towards millennials just because real estate investing as a liable path to financial independence kind of came onto the scene more, like with my age, and then as time went on. So I think you're seeing more younger people start to get into it just because they're on social media and a lot more people are talking about real estate investing. I've kind of gradually seen that progress since I started as well. So probably 50-50, but might slightly be more younger people as a result of that. And I think just you're seeing more people, the affordability thing is, speaking of house hacking, like you're seeing more people start to house hack that might otherwise not have house hacked before, especially in like the higher end areas. They now can't afford to live in those neighborhoods, so they're willing to become landlords to live in the neighborhood they want to live in. At this point, they don't really have a choice if they want to live there. So you're seeing a lot of more of that with the younger people specifically.
I
So
think that's
see,
the best way to get started is like, I mean, if I was 20 something years old and was doing it, I mean, I'd buy a duplex, I'd buy a triplex, I'd live in one, I'd rent out the other two. And it used to be where I'd even make money because the payment was less than the rent. Now it's not going to be that way, probably, but at least you'll be able
Unless
to
you're in
supplement.
Pittsburgh,
Yeah, you'll be able to supplement your mortgage payment.
Pittsburgh or Ohio.
Yeah.
so Sierra does like a live-in hack. Jeremy has 7 house hacks. What about you? Have you done a house hack, Kevin?
Um, no. No, I mean, I did start investing when I was in college, but we just rented out the house to college students, and then that paid the rent for the other house I was living in. So um, I didn't actually live in the house.
Do you think being at so what is your schedule at the firehouse? How many days at the firehouse are you at? Like, do you think that helps with living expenses for yourself?
So we do 2 days on, 4 days off, and then obviously, vacations and trades can manipulate that. But to your question, does it help with what?
Expenses. Do you think being away for 24 hours at a time is good or bad for your expenses?
Hmm. Um, I think it's all about the same. I mean, we pay for our meals, right? So like we go shopping at the store, we shop at Safeway, we come back, we cook all our meals at the station. Then my wife and kids still have to eat at home. I've got gas to and from the, fuel cost to and from. I live 2 hours away from the fire station. So maybe there's some pros, maybe there's some cons. I think it probably averages out.
2 hours.
That's a long commute.
Yeah. Well, I work in the Bay Area, and that's not a place I want to live and raise a family, nor is it a place I would probably want to afford. So yeah, we live 2 hours away, but it's once a week that I make the commute. So it's not like your typical 9 to 5.
And then do you still have the guy in your department that flies to Hawaii back and forth?
We do. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
so
got one
that's
year left.
yeah, so he's just trying to make it to retirement. So he
Yeah.
flies back and forth to
We
keep
have
the
a
wife
few
happy.
we have a few people that do that. Just one in Hawaii, but we have people that live in Southern California, we have people that live in Arizona. A lot of people moved to Idaho, just outside Boise, like during the pandemic. Um, and the cool part about this job is that you can stack your shifts, so you can work trades. So you could work, 4 days in a row and then have, 8 to 10 days off. or you could work, 10 days in a row and then have 30 days off. So it just, people do that to manipulate their schedule.
Hey, don't make us sound more like part-timers, man. We're already getting attacked in the
Either
comments.
way you look at it, still averages to 56 hours a week.
uh, let's see if there's any questions in the comments for us. Let's see. Well, someone says 7 house hacks is crazy. They got to do 8 now. But I think so. Jeremy was in retirement, but he might be coming out soon, he said, because he got challenged on social media.
I got called out.
Yeah, by paid PTO for life. So go check them out on YouTube and social media. But they are I forget, they're on 7, I believe, or yeah, but they're gonna go for 10. That's what they want to get to. Let's
Are
see.
those owner occupied mortgages that you're getting on each one of those?
Yeah, like 3.5, 5% down.
Okay, nice. So how long is that taking you to do 7?
Pretty much one per year. Like I started in 2016, so it averages out to be one like little over a year living there. I had to kind of wait for when I went from corporate job to self-employed. I had to wait a couple years to do one, but
Okay,
pretty much one per year basically. A lot of
nice.
moving,
You a lot of moving. You ever
but
get a
definitely
storage
worth
unit?
it. No, I just live lean when it comes to possessions. So
Love it.
anti-storage unit
There you
out of necessity.
go.
And Jeremy, you're engaged, right?
Yeah.
And so how is
Yep.
your fiance? Is she on board with the house hacking, or is that kind of why you are in retirement for house hacking?
So we kind of worked around that. She bought a single family house in 2018. So that's kind of been my part-time home. So it was a workaround, I guess you could say. I'm in the house hack half the time and then the single family house half the time as well. So that was how we were able to navigate that without her having to move every year and live next to tenants and whatnot.
So this question might be for you, Jeremy, since you do the house hacking. If you pay the utilities on a multifamily property, is that tax deductible at the end of the year? And this is not tax advice or financial advice.
Yeah, so if it's anything related to the rental portion, like if you're paying utilities for your tenant's unit, that's deductible. But if it's towards the unit that you're living in, it isn't. So if it's a straight on rental property, it is 100%. But if it's like a duplex that you're living in half, then 50% of that would be tax deductible from your income at the end of the year.
All
And I'm not a
right.
CPA, but that's
Is
my
that
my knowledge of it, having
yeah.
Yeah,
spoken to
it is a
CPAs.
question on your form, like how much did you pay for the utilities on your rental property? So
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Well, we got Jason's in here. We got Hyder. Hyder's everywhere. We got Mikey. Um, yeah. What else do you guys want to talk about? I think we kind of covered good the millennial, Gen X. Any other topics you guys got going on, or what you're working on right now, or any needs you guys have?
we're still trying to get this dang renovation done, and but we're looking, I mean, that's our goal, right? Is to move to, well, thinking we'll move to Oklahoma by the end of the year and hoping to take advantage of getting a duplex that we can live in the half of and house hack it for a year. So that's kind of like the strategy. And I think a lot of people think, if you have a family or if you have kids, like that's the point when you don't want to do that. And that's kind of like when we're feeling like we should lean into it and do it now, like while we still have a little bit more flexibility and ability to up and move. And um so we're just kind of, I'm in the market for like a really good Tulsa agent. If someone has a connection in Tulsa that they want to message me, that would be great. But yeah, kind of looking at the house hack strategy. And I say it all the time that I think that that's the most creative way to get into real estate, whether you're entering it now as a millennial or entering it now, in your 20s. It's still, I think, a great strategy to get started. And you may not be able to do things like the more traditional way, but that's kind of all went out the window anyway. So you got to get creative.
So Kevin, how did you kind of, maybe people that don't know, like how did you get into self-storage? Because you started, like you said, the traditional, single family homes. How did you transition all the way to self-storage?
Um, I got a little nervous when the pandemic hit and I started hearing horror stories about tenants not paying rent, but landlords still having to pay their mortgage. Um, and I got lucky. We had very few tenants that didn't pay. But it just kind of woke me up a little bit. And I started just saying, I wonder what I'd been doing it for, you know, 12, 13 years at that point. I was like, I wonder what other asset classes I could look at. So I looked at mobile home parks, I looked at RV parks, I looked at just buying land. I looked at, larger scale apartment complexes. I looked at self-storage. And what I really liked about self-storage at the time, because of tenants not paying rent, was that self-storage was all focused on lien laws. So it wasn't tenant law, it was lien law based in all 50 states. So if a customer didn't pay, I can just lock their unit. If they continue to not pay, I can auction their items off, and I can be in and out and renting this unit again within 60 days, as opposed to a year or longer process with the tenant going through an eviction process. Um, so that's what drew me to it initially. And then as I started peeling back layers of the self-storage industry and the asset class and the business that surrounds it, I liked it more and more, and eventually just dove in.
A smart fireman, man. So what has been the struggles you would say with self-storage right now for you?
Finding deals. Uh, I really enjoy the operation side of it. I enjoy it's much more of a business than it is just an asset. Like a single family home to me was much more of an asset. I've got this asset, I put it on a year lease, I can set it and forget it, right? Little things are going to come up, but it's an asset. I don't really have to do much. Self-storage is much more of a business. People call in constantly to rent units, to move out of units, complain about a unit. A gate doesn't work. Everyone pays online with credit cards. The credit card processing goes down. Like it's just, you're worried about revenue, you're worried about occupancy. Like it's much more of a business, which I enjoy. The tough part right now, and maybe because self-storage has kind of been hot a little bit or more talked about, is just finding good deals. So if I can find decent deals, I'll buy them all day long.
Any self-storage in Pittsburgh? Is that big, Jeremy, in that market?
There is. I don't really delve too much into it, but I think you don't really, a lot of that's like off market stuff as far as like those trading. Like you don't really see too much like listed,
Mm.
but they
Uh,
do exist here.
do a lot of people use it in Pittsburgh? Not so much, you said, yeah.
Um, Probably not as much as like some other markets, but I'm sure there's a pretty decent demand for it. No matter where you are, people have more stuff than they need.
The
Yeah.
Northeast is probably the least supplied area because most people have basements. When you have basements,
Yeah,
sometimes you don't need
that's
self-storage.
true as well. I didn't think about that.
It's a
Yeah.
great.
So we try and focus on the South, Southeast,
Yeah,
and that's where more people want self-storage because they don't have the basements.
all the people that moved from New York down to Florida and realized Florida houses don't have basements.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
That's,
here in Tennessee, it's not very common to have a basement. We're lucky we have one, but um, and we had one in Kansas, but like not very many properties that we looked at here in Tennessee had basements.
yeah, I think that was kind of eye-opening when I invested in Pittsburgh and bought properties. Is it?
Some of
Yeah.
the
What?
basements.
Yeah. I mean, and maybe I don't know. Pretty much you kind of have to expect a lot of the things on the inspection reports. A lot of times you get these inspection reports, and you know, it is what it is. Somewhat. A lot of these are older homes, and the basements do have some. I mean, not major issues, but you just got to get used to kind of seeing it pop up on the inspection report. Minor things, and you kind of realize it is kind of a common thing, and so that's one thing you got to realize if you're investing in those markets.
Yeah, especially if
Kevin, I
you're
have a
coming from somewhere with no basement.
Yeah.
Kevin, I was wondering, do you do vending machines at your self-storage places?
No,
Okay.
no.
I've seen them at a couple of places, but I didn't know if that was an like if that was a good place to have them or not. But I have seen a couple out here. You can just like people have them outside the front of their house sometimes, like down the
Really? Like for
highways.
soft drinks and stuff, or like Cokes
Yeah,
and Pepsis and
yeah,
stuff?
yeah.
Yeah,
Snacks and drinks.
that's interesting. I think so. Maybe. I just don't know if they'd be. I think it would depend on the area. Are they going to get vandalized or not?
Hmm.
And then obviously you got to have somebody service it, which. But I'm actually closing on one next month in South Carolina. That's it's fully climate controlled, so it's all indoor. Which typically I would buy drive up all outdoor. This
Hmm.
one's a little unique. So for an indoor facility, it might make total sense. So yeah, that's a good point.
Right. So question for let's say oh shoot, probably Jeremy. Where'd it go? Was looking into multis. One we looked at needed larger rehabs. Starting out didn't have oh, it keeps moving. Starting out didn't have the cash flow to take it on. When would you recommend taking on rehab out of state starting out? Taking on rehab.
I wouldn't recommend it ever
Yeah.
to start out. I wouldn't.
Yeah. So for your
Yeah,
clients, Jeremy, right? You deal with a lot of out-of-state investors, I'm sure, right?
probably majority at this point are out of state. I think it depends on like your current financial position because like anytime you do a rehab, obviously it's an additional layer of risk with anything. And like the boots on the ground team. So like if you're going out of state, you don't have any contacts, you're just jumping in trying to rehab something that could be a lot riskier than if you're working with a team that's kind of has a proven model for working with out of state investors on rehabs. But anything like the big rehab, there's obviously something could be a surprise. The bigger the rehab, the higher chance of that happening. I always tend to prefer like starting out with more cosmetic type stuff in the beginning to get your feet wet because you're already learning the real estate investing business in general. And that's just adding another thing to learn at the same time. So I tend to prefer like just smaller stuff to start and then get your feet wet and then work up to the bigger stuff. But you if you work up to in your good financial position, you know what you're doing, the numbers make sense, you can reduce a lot of the potential risks as long as you have good people to work with. That's the main thing. And I think sometimes people want to jump in and do the Burr model and they don't cover their bases first before they jump into that. And that's where you see these stories of people getting burned out of state because they don't make sure they're working with good people that can be trusted mainly.
Yeah. So if anyone met Owe Nicholas at the One Rental at a Time event, he at Orange Juice Properties. He invests in Pittsburgh. So he actually works with Jeremy and they've done some birds together. So if you guys want to reach out to either of them and kind of see what kind of results they're getting, I would connect with those guys.
I think
Yeah,
the
he did
biggest
it
thing there is
exactly like that. He started out the first couple were more buy and hold multifamily, and then he gradually moved into bigger projects. So exactly what I just said.
Yeah. What were you saying, Kevin?
I just think the biggest thing there, I agree totally with Jeremy. Start off small, cosmetic, like put in LVP flooring instead of linoleum in the kitchen or whatever it is, right? Maybe you change countertops and cabinets. Like that stuff's easy. No permits need to be pulled. It's not structural. But the biggest thing, if you're going to do anything, is like having a team or at least a contractor that you like really, really trust. If you're going to be doing anything out of state. I mean, it's tough to build a house next door to you and manage that project. It's really tough to do projects out of state. I mean, we're doing a flip in Kansas City right now. And the only reason we're doing it is because I've got an operations guy in Kansas City that I trust and I give him full reign and he does his thing and we have a great relationship. I do the same thing in Tucson and Phoenix. Other than those three cities, I'm not doing any major rehabs out of state because I don't have the people in play. And so I think that's super important.
And you're always
Yeah, it's probably
working,
the most
right?
important part.
And you work a lot.
That's right. So much.
Yep. Have a great team has been mentioned here. Janitor on Fire says he loves East Tennessee. Yeah, Knoxville. So Sierra's familiar with that area.
Knoxville's blowing up last 4 years, like 75% appreciation or something. I think I
Yeah, I wish
saw.
we'd bought in Knoxville. I mean, that was the market I had my heart set on, but it's a 2 hour drive from here, and I couldn't find a good agent over there. They were all they would flake on me so fast, and um it was just a time when they were all the agents were used to like really easy work, and it was hard to find someone wanting to work with an investor, and I just couldn't find a good one there to help me. But I love Knoxville, and I think it is a much better metro than Nashville. So I definitely point people that direction if they're interested in Tennessee. It's a good area. Chattanooga's following it for sure. Just because Chattanooga's kind of got that interesting location of being like more towards Huntsville, Alabama area, and down there where they can kind of commute back and forth to that, or being on the way to Atlanta. And I mean, Atlanta is just busting at the seams, so it's a good spot.
Somebody
I think
put
it's prudent too to look at, where what has been the home appreciation in some of these cities. Like I look at like a Phoenix and I'm like, it's blown up and I'm like, can it continue on this trend or should we be looking elsewhere? I think the Midwest, parts of Tennessee, Huntsville, Alabama, I think, there's definitely markets that are still primed to grow. I love Louisville, Kentucky. Um, so I think, when you're choosing your city that you're going to focus on, definitely look at, how much more potential is left and what type of people moved there to create the boom during the pandemic, and are they actually going to stay there? I think that's important.
yeah. Let's see here. What about you folks? Do you folks have retire? I mean, like 401ks and IRAs set up for yourselves?
I do
I
not.
have a solo 401k and then a Roth IRA.
Was that from did you oh okay. Yeah. What about you, Kevin? You just have the pension pretty much set up or
Um, we have a pension, we have a 457, which is similar to like a 401k. I think you can contribute like 20 something thousand pre-tax every year. So I do that. Um, and then I have a stock account. Used to be TD Ameritrade, now it's Schwab, after they bought them. So we invest in stocks too. But our main vehicle for trying to generate wealth is through real estate.
are you gonna do your what 20 year, 25 years, 30 years in the firehouse?
Nah, I'm just trying to get to 10.
See? That's what I said, man. Everyone fights me on that now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Because you can have a great 10-year career, right? That you can get a lot done in 10 years and love it and be on your way.
Yeah. Yeah. And I still enjoy the job. I still love the job. I love driving the fire engine, love going to calls. But as we scale and grow the real estate business, it's just the fire service is what's taking me away from my family more than anything else. And that's where at some point I'm going to have to pull the plug on it, even though I like the job.
What about you, Jeremy? So are you gonna do another house hack?
Not a traditional one, I don't think. But we're doing if you count a house hack, this as a house hack, but it's an LLC that me and my mom got my grandpa's house, renovated it, and we're gonna rent it from the LLC. So that's could be a form of house hacking in a way, because the rent that we pay to the LLC that I own half of, kind of hacking the system a little bit than having to purchase a house right now. It'll give us time to look for one that we really like, give us kind of at least 5 years where we have kids and have school age to give us options on that, and instead of having to pay rent to somebody else as well. So that'll be kind of the next step for us, I think.
Uh, Smart, man.
But not another traditional house hack, I don't think.
Yeah, I thought they could pull you out of retirement.
That might be a tough sell at this point.
It's nice to get to that point though where you're just trying to like make what you have super efficient, right? Where you kind of have enough and you're like, okay, how can I just restructure to make it even better? And sometimes that, increases your cash flow more than an asset would.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm all about being efficient and regardless of what stage of life I'm in.
Yeah, I think that's super important, right? Like everyone has struggles in the beginning, but it's just getting to that point. And now it sounds like, all of you folks are kind of just, being able to kind of dabble in what you want to do now and kind of, do things you're more passionate about or enjoy.
Yeah, and I think that's what it's all about is being able to get in a position financially where you can work on what you like to do rather than what you're being forced to do for a paycheck.
Yeah. Let's see what else we got in here. No, not we got 16 people watching right now, so that's good.
I've got a question for you guys. And I guess I ask it selfishly because I'm curious myself, but how important do you think it is to like completely niche down within an asset class or a skill set? Because I look at myself and we're probably 70% self-storage, but then I've got a flip going in Kansas City. I'm doing a rent to own in Buckeye, Arizona. We've got some hard money loans out. Like I just feel like I'm kind of yes, like the main bucket is self-storage, but then I'm also kind of doing these other things. Do you think that's beneficial, or do you think, hey, just find your niche, know everything about it, just focus on that and just say, I'm all in on duplexes or self-storage or mobile home parks, whatever it is?
I'm a fan of niching, especially at the beginning when you're building. I think that complete focus on one thing is the best way to kind of get to that next level when it's required. At a certain point, though, I think you could start to kind of diversify a little bit just in the grand scheme of things, like once you build that initial wealth. But still, at the end of the day, like I think, like for me, I think it's always going to be at least 80% real estate, like
Mhm.
specifically small multifamily is kind of like my niche, you could say. But and I think it gives you an unfair advantage when you do that. Just take advantage of that, especially if it's like a local market that you know very well. It'll allow you to beat out everybody else because nobody else knows it better than you. So I think 100% up to a certain point, and then you can start to, I guess, diversify a little bit, but still be niche down. I think, in my opinion, is the best way to go about it.
Makes sense.
I would agree with that. Like establishing, your foundation, having niche down is really helpful for getting traction to go forward. And then diversifying. But this is going to sound really, I don't know, maybe this doesn't even matter to some people, but do you like doing all of those things? Because like at some point that matters. Like if you're dreading the fact that like you're saying like it feels like you're scrambling all over the place, then I would weigh that into it. But if you like being, a resource to people who are trying to, get these deals done, like you're creating employment for people in all of these different avenues, and that can be really fulfilling to be the guy who can help get these deals done in different ways. And so, like, if you like that and you like all those connections, then that's really valuable too.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think like you said that 70%, 80% kind of focus on one class or one area is probably like that good balancing point to where you have your niche, but at the same time you're able to maybe try different projects and see, just keep yourself interested, right? And it's got to be like Sierra said, it's got to be fun and you got to have fun doing things. And like I said, it's very important to have your focus on one thing. I think that's the best way to do it. But at the same time, it's also experience and growing and constantly learning, right? So I don't know, but because it seems like though you're all in real estate, I don't know if
Yeah.
that's kind of what I picked up. So maybe I don't know if there's something else out there, like I guess like you're saying, self storage is more like a business, but
Mhm.
if there's anything else out there to focus on another passion project and maybe social media or something, or building a YouTube channel, a self-storage channel or something like that, right? I don't know. That's the
Right.
way I would look at it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Cool.
Because I know too that you don't focus on your fantasy football team very much, but so that
Mm,
could use some improvement. But so
Oh,
that's
yeah,
maybe something else you want to dabble in a little bit more, spend more time
that'll
on
be a
that.
focus next year. That's for sure.
go put some money on the league.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Might
last
get him to pay attention more.
well, you were only paying attention because you were just dominating everybody at first. So you were just
Until everything fell apart.
yeah. And then we had Han who didn't even change his team, I think, and he won.
Did he end
Yeah.
up winning?
Yeah, because of that stupid 2 week playoff thing that
You
I
thought you had it in the bag, but
yeah, I
then there was the
did.
second week.
So great.
Yeah, we'll let you play next year, Sierra.
Thanks.
He'll probably win.
Yeah.
That's usually what happens when I would play against my brothers in back in the day, like on PlayStation 2, and we'd have like uh an NCAA game in, or some football or something, and I would just be they just needed me there basically to not so they didn't have to play the computer. But I would just like hit X the whole time, and I get like a touchdown, and they're like, no, what is happening? Like that. I imagine that's how it would go if I got in a fantasy league, is I would just like be hitting buttons, and they'd be like, what is happening? What did she do?
That's kind of how it was. Han, I don't think he figured out the scoring yet. He kept messaging me like every week. I don't understand what the scoring is. Because I think he only follows basketball really. So, but he was just like, what is like, how do I figure this out?
And yet he still beat you.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's because of that 2 week playoff thing that was just automatically set. I didn't know it was set up that way. I'm gonna change that for next year.
The commish got commished.
I know. Let's see. Whoever painted this room last should have niched down. How can Hyder must be talking about the work he's doing in Gary, Indiana on a property he closed on. He's doing some sweat equity.
Okay, I have a question for you guys. Especially if don't really believe in college for the future. Would you ever consider like taking on apprentices to like learn what you do and how you've built the strategies behind like your real estate endeavors? And if so, like how would you structure that if someone was interested in learning?
I tried to do this. I only have a Twitter, my only social media, and I put out just for self-storage. I just wanted to teach people kind of what I knew and what I continue to learn. And so I put out something on social media like, hey, I'd love to like basically be a mentor to somebody just starting out. I felt like I was kind of at that stage where I could invest some time in somebody. And I got one person that was like all on board. And the way we were going to structure it, he ended up just completely falling off the map. I have no idea what happened to him. But the way we were going to structure it after a few phone calls was that he was going to help find the deal. And for finding the deal, he was going to get paid one of two ways, either just a quick fee for finding the deal, like finder's fee, or I was going to bring him in as a small equity partner in the deal. And then my give to him was to teach him operations once we close on the deal. So I would give him all the tools, resources he needed to go find the deal. He would go find it. And then I would teach him kind of the operation side, and I would leave it up to him. Hey, do you want equity, which is going to be a slower return, or do you want to just take a one-time hit and try and build up some cash for a finder's fee? That's what we had agreed on. It was a crazy story. I mean, we talked back and forth. We were all ready to go. I was giving him all these resources, and then I just never heard from this kid again. He was a younger, just out of college guy, but hopefully he's okay. But
Interesting.
I would do that again if somebody wanted to learn the self-storage space. Like that's how I would structure it. I thought that was fair and reasonable.
You
Yeah,
gotta bring the
absolutely.
mustache back though. You gotta bring the mustache back.
Maybe that's what it was. Maybe he left
Yeah.
to shave my mustache.
He was just there for the mustache.
Yeah.
He's just there for the mustache.
So I gotta get going soon to get my son up, but I have a final kind of question. Actually, I just thought about it. Someone messaged me on Instagram. They're looking to invest out of state, but they were talking about how their daughter is kind of wants to be an influencer now on social media. So I guess the daughter, I guess, used to play Roblox or whatever on YouTube. I don't know, but so the daughter was actually making money playing video games. Maybe just during COVID, like $1,000 a month. But the
This is my
daughter,
son's dream.
yeah. So, but the daughter now is maybe a little bit older. I'm not sure. I'm assuming maybe just out of high school, but is more on TikTok, and she's getting like clothing, like to wear and stuff. So, but that's what the daughter wants to do, is be like an influencer. Like, so what's you guys thoughts on that as far as trying to be an influencer, I guess, out there?
So my initial thoughts are phrasing it as being an influencer is probably the wrong way to go about it, just because that can be really empty at the end. If you are building something, if you're like, I want to be, someone who builds a community and I want to provide value, or I want to document my journey and I want it to be, educational, or whatever it is, like I think you have to go about it as a business building mindset rather than like I want to be just influencing people because people like what I have to say. I think that, that is um not sustainable long term. So if that's the goal, is to be making money on social media, I think you just have to have the right mindset going into it. But I would I wouldn't necessarily stray away from it like I would have in the past, thinking it's not a legitimate career option.
Yeah, I think certainly people could do that now if it's something they enjoy and they could be consistent with and it helps other people. I mean, I don't see why it couldn't be a viable career path for people now if they're a good fit for it, and you can monetize it if you do it the right way and are good with it over time. So
Just to let you
that's
guys
it.
know, the mom is in the chat, so she's taking notes on what you guys are recommending. I just saw, so she said, "Yeah, that's my daughter."
Yeah, I think I don't know that if that is necessarily a and I don't know much about, like I said, I just started Twitter a few months ago. I don't have anything else, so I'm not maybe not the right person to speak on this, but I don't know that I would call it a career as opposed to an income stream. Because I think it can be taken away pretty quickly. You say the wrong thing, you do the wrong thing, a new product comes out, a new person comes out, and it's like, okay, maybe it just goes away. Or a new platform comes out that you're not present on. So I think if you look at it as an income stream, I think it's awesome. Like the more income streams, the better. And then I think the real question is, well, what am I going to do with that income? Can I use this income stream and then invest it into real estate or stocks or whatever floats your boat? Knowing that that income stream could dry up, and now I still have this over here. So while you can make money with it, like by all means, go for it and ride the wave, but just know that it might stop. It's not a traditional career with my limited knowledge of what an influencer does. That's my thoughts.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think finding ways to monetize it outside of the actual act of the social media platform. Like, a lot of people are doing like newsletters or building communities outside of just social media. I think the ability to do that and invest the money in assets rather than spending it all and then it goes away to tomorrow, like you said. I think that's the best way to approach it, in my opinion, as well.
So I don't know if you're following the comments, Jeremy. So Liam is also in the comments, and he says he essentially apprenticed for Jeremy, and it's worked out great. Needs to be a symbiotic relationship where value is added on both sides.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I was going to say. Like, that's kind of what I got going on now with the team. So it's like, I think it has to be a win-win for both sides. So, like, I got to a point as an agent where it was too much for me to continue doing just by myself. And then, like, for example, Liam on my team, he's like 4 years behind me. He's looking to basically do the same thing I've done. He can come on board. We help each other out. I teach him. He frees up time on my end so I can do other things that I might not have been able to do when I was building my own business, and then basically help each other out. That's what I think the key is in any sort of apprentice relationship, is both sides benefit from it, to kind of work symbiotically and help each other out and build together, and then still have the apprenticeship kind of, I guess, dynamic at the end of the day. It's it's a good dynamic to have for sure, in my opinion. But you got to structure it that way, I think, rather
Yeah,
than
for
just like,
you, I see you traveling. I see travel photos all the time. Yeah, so he must be doing all the work then.
nah, we work together. But that's what it is. Like it allows in the say the agent situation, a newer agent to build up their business that they otherwise might have struggled to just kind of starting on their own. So structuring it as a win-win scenario.
Yeah, so Hiders made a good point. He says, I hear influencer and I hear legal responsibility. So I'm with Sierra. Call it something else. So yeah, I like that. That makes sense. Yeah, I guess. Well, so I think I need to help Mark out more. Oh, that's Mikey. But yeah, so I guess Rencie's daughter is using that money to invest in stocks, though. So that's a good sign, though, right? She's not just bringing in this money or extra side income and buying other, like you're saying, shiny objects, right? So at least seems like she has a good mindset going forward.
And I think there's a lot of roll-ups you can do once you're at that stage. Like if you're able to monetize yourself or your personal brand, like think about what else can you do? Can you create a product around it? Can you create a course around it? Can you create there's a number of different things you can do to roll up to that influencer business. So, do what you enjoy and then create a little ecosystem around it if that's something you enjoy, and then take that cash flow and invest in real estate or stocks or whatever floats your boat.
Yeah. All right. Well, this was a lot of fun. I got about a couple minutes left. So if you guys want to talk about anything real quick or want to discuss how people can reach out to you, if they want help with stuff. And like for Jeremy, I know a lot of people want to invest in Pittsburgh, even get started in self-storage, Kevin. Like, how can people reach out to you guys?
Uh, I'm on Twitter. It's at storage_venture. Um, so that's probably the best way. Or you can send me an email, Kevin at June1one holdings.com.
And Jeremy, do they reach out to you or Liam?
They can reach out to me just probably Twitter or Instagram, Jeremy_Taggart, Taggart.
And everyone knows Sierra, so Homes and Hustles.
I'm
So
everywhere.
you're all over X now. I
I
like it.
am. Yeah, everyone has really sucked me into X. But that's the thing is like it's such a clear metric on what it takes to get monetized on there that it's more
Yes.
appealing to spend the time on there. Whereas like Instagram is kind of this like just spinning your wheels endeavor. And so it's been kind of nice, especially knowing that X is pushing content that has like photos and videos on it. It's more appealing because like that's the stuff I like to share anyways.
Yeah. Now, since you guys are on X, like Kevin, do you see my stuff popping up in your feed a lot more now? Or no?
I don't know about more. I think it's probably about the same.
Oh, okay.
It's always been. I have no idea how their algorithms work. Um, but yeah, I definitely see your stuff on my homepage for sure.
Oh, yeah, I've been a little more active, and I don't know if you guys remember Joel, but he pretty much started a fight on X pretty much with the finance guy. So,
The finance guy.
yeah, he called us a bunch of losers.
The trigger guy is more like
Yeah.
it.
I told Joel, don't engage. Do not engage with that guy. But
Yeah, don't fall for it.
yeah. So yeah, he called us losers. He said a bunch of grown men talking about me.
Yeah. Eh.
Yeah, he's got some
They
interesting
took the
takes.
bait is what he's a known troll and both Mark and Joel took the bait and
Not
walked right into it.
no. I was messing. I was playing along. I told Joel do not engage, but since Joel engaged, I had to put the poll up. I don't know if you guys seen the poll. You saw it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I try to stay out of some of that stuff. My whole feed is Mark commenting on models and
Hey, since he's here, I'm gonna call it because Hugo gave me the algorithms. I'm gonna. Uh, Sierra said it best. Wasted time with that guy, the finance guy. Hey, I'm not fighting. Hugo said I'm fighting with people. I'm not fighting in there.
It's
Yeah,
probably
it's a waste of time
some
unless
bot,
you're
probably not even a person.
yeah, it's a waste of
Yeah, it's
time
probably a
unless your
bot.
post takes off and then, you get 93,000 views or whatever it was Joel ended up with
Yeah.
on his post. I'm like, all right, well, maybe it wasn't a waste of time.
Yeah. I'm interested to see once I do get monetized, like how much the payout actually is.
Couple
Oh,
bucks.
now you see, I don't even know how that works. Hugo's the guy that he knows all that stuff, but I keep forgetting. Janitor on Fire says go Cowboys. Keeps mentioning the Cowboys in the chat. Yeah.
Cowboys aren't making any moves this offseason.
Ah, yeah. Did you see the Bears moves? You got the best wide receiver
A
duo
lot
now.
of moves.
Yep. Yep. And Caleb Williams we're gonna draft. Things are looking
Sure
up for my
seems like
Bears.
it.
Yep.
What
Keep
about
Fred.
Fields? Are you gonna deal him?
I thought he was going to the Falcons. I thought that was like the best destination and
I mean, the
trade
Steelers are off
partner.
the table now too, so
Yeah. I didn't even know Steelers had a football team still, or Pittsburgh had a football team still yet.
they got to prove they got to get back to
You got you
their
got
ways.
Trubisky, guys. Do you guys still have Trubisky?
No, he's on the Bills, my
Oh,
guy.
that's
He's
right.
back on the
That's right.
Bills.
That's right.
They cut
Uh,
everybody on their team except him. They brought him back.
oh, they said Russell Wilson to the Steelers, comeback player of the year. Haha.
I think he's gonna fit in well.
Yeah. He's still, how old is he?
He's got to be mid-30s at this point.
Oh, so Jeremy, I don't know if you know about the one rental at a time event that so me and Sierra were just there. Mikey, Owie was there also. I met Owie. But that's gonna be the thing now in February, same weekend. And Mikey said he hopes to see you there next year.
Yeah, I need to
Yeah.
go the next one.
Yeah.
Apparently, I'm the only one that wasn't there.
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna be in
Kevin
there. That's all
Kevin
right.
should be there. He's probably the closest.
I know, right? That's an easy
So,
one
but
for me.
so you know what? Maybe you should be up there speaking because there's no self storage.
What?
I don't think one person was talking about self storage. So
Nah,
Ooh,
no
that's
one
a
wants to
good
listen to
idea.
me.
yeah, I'll do that, and then we can have Jeremy and PTO guys. We'll bring a wrestling ring up there, and you guys can battle it out. Because so the speakers got belts this year, like the championship belts. So we'll have one for the house hacking
Yeah, I saw
championship.
Chad Carson had one.
Yep,
He
yep,
posted that.
yeah. Chad's a super good guy,
I
Yeah, I
but
like
just
his
realized
philosophies on investing.
I'm over on
yeah,
my time limit here. I'm gonna have to jump. I gotta watch the kiddos
no.
and give my wife a little break.
All right, cool, man. Thanks for hopping on, and we'll see you in Vegas next year.
But always fun to chat with you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, see you in Vegas next
Good to
year.
see.
All right, man.
See you guys.
See ya.
Oh, somebody Hyder. Yeah, Hyder's a hockey guy. He says he doesn't know how you guys do a stop and go football. He likes the constant action in hockey.
I'm not a hockey lover.
Football is
I
my
I
think,
think
main.
I've been to one
yeah,
game.
I think hockey is more just because I can't skate for shit and skating, so even more so, like at least football is like, you can run and catch and but hockey's like you can't skate, so I can't relate to it at all.
Do they have hockey in Hawaii? They got skate
They
rinks
actually
down there?
do. Yeah, they do. There's only one. Well, one ice rink, and then there's a couple like indoor hockey type places. But yeah. Yeah, we'll wrap it up soon. I don't know if you guys got anything else you guys want to say. But yeah, Jeremy, if you can, I mean, I think coming to Vegas would be a good place to meet up for the first time. Well, it'd probably be good to meet you in Pittsburgh actually, so I can see my properties for once. But Vegas would be another good option, and I'll probably
We were
drag my.
just there like a week after, I think, that event.
You know what? I think I did see that. I think I did see you post some hiking trails you were on or hiking you were doing, and I
Yeah,
was
we
like, oh,
flew into Vegas and hit a couple of national parks out there.
yeah. I said, shit, does he ever work? I said, man, his team must work really hard, man.
I still get after it when I'm going too. Got to wake up early, get some stuff done, and in the evenings. That's the nice thing about the flexibility with doing your own thing.
Yeah. I don't know. I was asking Owie to see because you guys did a burr, right? Or did it sell? I know he kind of recently it hit the market, right? Or no?
They just finished the rehab,
Oh,
and I
okay.
think putting it up for rent now soon. Yeah, he's been doing good for sure.
Yeah, he's
Growing his
killing it.
portfolio.
Yeah, I saw him. He's at some other meetups. I think he was in San Diego, some other real estate. He's a good networker also, but yeah. All right. Well, this was good. We'll do it again. This was a lot of fun. Sierra, you want any final words from you?
No, if anyone has any side hustles they want me to test out, I'll be looking for another one soon. So far,
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah. Hive Mapper, when you think you're gonna keep doing it?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep doing it. It's gonna come out to be, I think, almost $400 a month in income if things stay the way they've been going. So definitely keeping that and gonna order my own cam so that uh because if it was just me on the camera, right, then I would be getting the full profit. But since I'm doing the 60/40 split, like it's coming out to about 400 a month. But if I could get, 750 a month just on my own camera, then I'm gonna do that. So um it's just it takes a long time to get the cameras in. So I
Mm,
don't think they're shipping those until the end of the year. So I'm going to still do what I'm doing now, but I've already paid off the camera that I have. And so the 60/40 split has swapped. So I'll get my 60% next week. So that's good. And I feel like I got the hang of it now. So I'm going to pick up another side hustle and test it out, see if people like it.
What is
I,
that?
you gotta
Hive,
watch the video, man. No, 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 no.
Oh,
No, no,
um,
I'm just playing.
Hive Mapper's like this. It's kind of like a crypto project, but it's dash cams basically where you're mapping kind of like Google Maps does, but it's more refresh data. And then you upload your dash cam data. They pay out in their crypto coin, and then you transfer it out. But it's been over $100 each week so far, so it's worth it.
So you went to where in the Northeast again? You had to travel somewhere?
Yeah, I did a drive up to like I went through Pittsburgh. I went through well, a lot of Pennsylvania. I was up in Massachusetts, in Connecticut. I was just up in that area and drove back. One of the drives was mostly in the dark, so it didn't count because it was too dark to record. But the drive home, I did a lot of daytime driving.
Cool. Yeah, and oh, the one other so can you pick? I forgot you might have answered it, but can you pick any crypto to get paid out in, or just a specific one?
And they pay out in their token for
Okay.
the Hive Mapper token, and then you can, transfer it to
Okay.
whatever you want.
Yeah. And just letting you know that guy that messaged you on X, that's one of my coworkers, the one I said that's a big bully.
Oh, Kay Hughes, is that the one?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I
So
was like, I
he's
don't
a
think
crypto
he's
guy.
I don't think he's a troll, but maybe he is. I don't know.
No, he's like 385 pounds though. So when I say big, I mean he's big.
it's a big
Gotcha.
boy.
He is. He's a big teddy bear though, but he's one of he's it's crazy. He's like he does like triathlons and stuff.
What?
I don't know about
What
at
do you
three
mean?
at this current weight, but he's always been a big guy. But he just does it to do it, and he's just I
He's
mean,
running at that weight?
yeah. I mean,
That's
he's
actually impressive.
dude. He's nimble, man. He's like, I mean, he's
Sounds like
not.
he should be an NFL lineman.
Yeah, I mean, he's not. He's not. He enters like powerlifting competitions and stuff, yeah, it's not like he's fast, like running, but he's nimble, like, and he's quick, and he's.
Yeah,
So yeah, so even like on the assault bikes, man, that thing look it's like the bike is actually gonna start moving. Like it's like he's
it's a lot of weight.
all right. Well, yeah, this was a lot of fun, and let's see, last one since Hugo's here. I'm sure everyone is up in her Okay, yeah. All right, Hugo. Hugo's always trying to get my stuff canceled. He's always, hey, post this, or go check out this. All right. Well, it was fun, and we'll do it again, and we'll try to get maybe some different people on, or maybe we'll do it in Pittsburgh one day, Jeremy.
Live in
Yeah, we're
Pittsburgh.
doing it live in Pittsburgh. And
We need to do a Pittsburgh meetup. I think that's not too far. Let's do it.
for you,
But you have a reason to go there. You could write off the entire
Yeah,
trip.
it's deductible with your properties here.
all right. Well, we'll see.
You just
My
gotta
my
come
mapping
come in
stuff
the summer.
basically my mapping stuff basically pays for road trips now, so I can go anywhere.
Do they live in Pittsburgh? Who's that? I'm not sure who that is. Is that KB dollar sign? Sorry, but I'll figure out
Maybe.
who that is.
Do a live in Pittsburgh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a live in Pittsburgh.
Oh, yeah. All right. All right. Well, thank you guys for doing this, and I'll see you folks again, man.
Yep.
All right.
We'll see
Thanks.